1-2-1-2. Welcome to Penshurst Park, round 25 of the NPL New South Wales men's tonight. St George City hosting the Western Sydney Wanderers, with both in a big chase for the final series. Beautiful. Good evening, everybody. The hunt for the finals continuing here tonight in Sydney South in the NPL New South Wales Men's, as St George City host the Western Sydney Wanderers, both vying for the 6th and final playoff spot. A win for the hosts this evening would put them into the top 6 and heap the pressure on Wollongong in their home fixture tomorrow. Their visitors are trying to arrest a slide in form that has seen them all but slide out of the picture in the chase for silverware. Very warm welcome to you wherever you're joining us around the world. It's a very windy Penshurst Park tonight, but we are glad you are joining us from on the Football New South Wales YouTube page. Alex Molchanoff along with you for all the action. We'll bring you the starting lineup shortly. Didn't have a walkout in the official sense. Players just gathering in the middle, keen to get going because the temperatures are frosty tonight. And a move forward in kick-off time with the 20s game delayed. And so we are all in readiness. Ben Abraham, the very experienced A-League men's official, is our central referee tonight, and he gets us underway. St George City in their home kit of red and white, kicking from left to right. And they've got a very early opportunity here as the ball's not dealt with by the Wanderers. Crashing through the middle was Paolo Mitri, who's got a very good record against this opposition at this venue as well. Bit of history that we'll bring you over the course of this broadcast. The Wanderers are going to be very aware early. Costa Petrados sneaking around and getting a shot in. Early warning signs more than present for the visitors. St George City have flown out of the blocks here. Inside 30 seconds and already Tristan Vidakovic, the Wanderers goalkeeper, has seen the ball flash across the face of his net more than once. We'll bring you that Wanderers starting lineup. We'll get this opportunity with the goal kick. Vidakovic in goal. 2 changes for Richard Cardoso tonight, who's in as stand-in manager for the moment. A little bit of a reshuffle happening with the new staff coming in under the A-League men's senior coach, Alan Stajic. Good announcement for the club a couple of weeks ago. There's a little bit of a reshuffle going there. A couple of changes for him coming into tonight. Prashant Tafunai, the Samoan Youth International, is in at right back. Ricky Franson and Roman Cholina continuing as a centre-half pairing with Ryan Devine at left back. A midfield 4 expected. Dino on the right. Marcus Fernandez and Luke Neuenhoff, who's wearing the captain's armband tonight, through the middle with Khan Nizam off the left. A front 2 of Awan Lual and Richard Nkomo. See how that all plays out. But St George City gathering steam with another attack. Jesse Foti, I think it was, flashing through the front post. Not able to steer his head on target, the 19-year-old, but they're just having to absorb wave after wave at the moment, the Wanderers, and Vidakovic has taken a little bit of a boot from Foti, who was trying to get it across to his front post again. They had a moment to breathe in the early stages of this first half. Nearly 2.5 minutes in, and the Wanderers facing all sorts of pressure. Without a win in 7, they've gained just a point over that period. Face the loss of several of their players with A-League men's experience, which is always the case for these academy sides, particularly the ones that seem to start so brightly, with the older of the youth players starting to make their way into the first team. Marcus Eunice at the moment is away on international duty. St George City feel they've got the Wanderers at a good time, trying to make inroads. It was a thumping loss for them in the first game between these two earlier in the season. It's very much a full-strength Wanderers on that night. 6-1 it finished. 5-1 lead built up by the Wanderers at half-time in the early stages. This one is taking on a very different trajectory. First free kick going the Wanderers' way and just easing a little bit of that pressure that they've come under in the early stages. Check of the St George City lineup. 2 changes for Mirko Yirel tonight as well. One of them enforced with Solomon John Monahan-Viker being sent off in their 2-1 loss to Marconi last weekend. Looking as though he's going to a back 4. the early stages, although Costa Betratos is staying very deep. You can expect him to get up and down the right flank. If it is as set up, Cameron Fong will start off the right of a back three. Tarek Erkan slotting into the middle. And Calder Godoy, the signing from St George FC. They're near neighbours in the registration window on the left. Chelina under all sorts of pressure and didn't deal with it. And there's the opener. It's nothing less than St George City have deserved. They have flown out of the blocks tonight. And they get their just rewards. Ball not really dealt with by the Wanderers back line, and they are punished in full. Nothing Vildakovic could do about that. Jesse Foti into the starting side tonight. Picks up his 4th goal of the season. Already fired in a couple of chances. It was 3rd time lucky for the youngster. 19-year-old who has had to make most of his NPL New South Wales men's appearances off the bench, both for St George City and his former club Sutherland, who he made such an impact with as an 18-year-old last season. Trying to break into the first team. He's gone the right way about it tonight. Paying back the faith shown in him by Coach Uriel. The ball up towards him there. And this time Roman Chelina getting up and clearing the danger. Curry and Romero, they are full of running and fire at the moment, St George City, knowing that that top 6 spot is begging. Is in their sights. Should all go well this evening. They've started very much the right manner. Costa Betratos right into the corner. Again, another ball that's not really dealt with by the Wanderers. And then Chelina trying to get, in fact, it was Devine trying to get clever. Costa Betratos again. Mitri leaves it for Romero. Wasn't the advisable option. Cox trying to lock it up there. And running the ball out of trouble was Dino Dino. He does well to win a pressure relieving free kick. Started the season so well under Andrew Christensen, the Western Sydney Wanderers. They led the league for a couple of weeks. Young side that had really taken a few by surprise. Certainly they had players, as I've mentioned already, with some A-League men's experience, and they've got some tidy replacements for them, but they're younger and less experienced, and particularly in the back line, they are coming under all sorts of pressure. It's the American Jason Romero darting in towards goal now. It's beaten his defender, bearing down on goal Romero. He's looking to do the team thing and find Mitri. And Luke Neuenhoff having to get all the way back there to make the interception. All hands on deck at the back for the moment for the visitors. Back three, I bought you 4 of them. Costa Betratos looks to be starting on a right wing back position. Famoto Kamada started on the left for the majority of the season since he's moved from the Mount Druitt Town Rangers in the off-season. Tom Cox starting through the middle. It's a trident through there with Lewis Curry and Paolo Mitri sitting just ahead of Cox. Foti is on the score sheet already alongside the big name of Jason Romero. He's not had the biggest goal return this season. St George City have been a little more defensively minded, certainly, than they were last year. They were very much the league's entertainers. Shocked plenty by making their way well and truly into the top half of the table. Would have taken a finals place had they been played last season. Glad to have them back this year, certainly from a neutral perspective. Going to that A-League men's format, I mentioned the reason for the important context of the game tonight for both sides. Wanderers are still in with a mathematical chance of making it in, although they have slipped into the bottom half of the ladder for the first time this season over the past couple of weeks. Trailed Wollongong by 5 points coming into the game tonight, who occupied that 6th position. City, as I've mentioned, are poised to jump them if this result holds. It was all very quick. Players getting out there. I was caught the commentator a little bit by surprise. But certainly the pace of the game has left nothing to be desired in the early stages. Only one early kick-off today across the competition. We had a game last night at Cromer Park between Manly United and Marconi, which the Stallions won by a goal to nil, thanks to a superb free kick from their captain Marko Jesic, his 13th goal of the season, which have mostly come in the back end of the season. Had a bit of a slow goal-scoring start. Did the legend of this competition. In the early fixture today, it was a relegation six-pointer. Proved that neither team could really land a blow on the other. Sydney FC and the Sutherland Sharks drawing 0-0 down at Seymour Shore. Lifts them both temporarily out of the relegation spots. A reminder that the bottom team going automatically down. Second bottom going into the relegation playoff against the second place team from League One. Neither of these teams remotely close to being dragged into that little equation. Another big game coming up tonight in that title race. Halfway through this one, we're expecting that to kick off, just 7 o'clock. Bills United hosting Spirit FC at Landon Stadium. You'll be able to find that one where you found this on the Football New South Wales YouTube page. Alex Molchanoff along with you for all the action tonight. Opening 10 minutes have swung very much St George City's way. It's a while ago now, but Kao de Godoy was once a Newcastle Jets academy player of Brazilian background. And that ball forward for Luis Curie. His brother Jackson made waves a little bit earlier this year. He was called up to the Lebanese national team that took on the Socceroos in the World Cup qualifiers. Jackson with a good history in this competition. Scored in the grand final back in 2020 for Sydney United 58. Featured in a grand final against St George City in League One a year later, in which City claimed another piece of silverware for them in what has been a meteoric rise through the competitions of Football New South Wales since their establishment just over a decade ago now. The Wanderers have just been able to slow the wave of attacks that were coming their way in the early stages. Roman Chelina trying to restore some calm, but his ball forwards, that's quite a bit of Dino. In fact, it was Lual chasing that one. Jack Kenny launching that one downfield and slightly assisted by the wind, which is eased a little since kickoff. Mitri! Oh, wow! Well, Paolo Mitri scored on the opening night here on Penshurst Park. In fact, he scored a brace against this same opposition. He loves playing them. And that is as good a strike as you'll see all weekend. And a half chance becomes a goal. In double time, the Wanderers' deficit is doubled. And St George City are looking a dominant force, looking to give the Wanderers a taste of the medicine that they offered up at Wanderers Football Park earlier in the year. That 6-1 defeat that day seems a very long time ago now. That's still the Wanderers' only win over St George City at this level of football. Played for several years down in League One. Well, they were both fairly regular searchers in the hunt for promotion. Put off a couple of years by the COVID pandemic. Wanderers came so close so many times before managing to gain ascension back in 2022, year in which 4 teams came up. All are still in the division. Central Coast Mariners, the ones most at threat of being relegated back down. St George City are in no danger of that. A team that not always found goals the easiest to come by this season, but boy have they made some serious inroads in the opening quarter of an hour here. Less than that. If you're just joining us, you've missed goals from Jesse Foti and from Paolo Mitri. Both very different. Mitri's a piece of opportunism in the fact that he was happy to strike from distance. It was a beauty. Tristan Vidakovic is yet to make a save in the Wanderers' net, and he's been put under more pressure here. Interchanging passes with Cholina. Can Devine find a way out? One of the toughest trips in the competition, this one. Penshurst is a notoriously small pitch. When you're being pressed back in your own half like the Wanderers are at the moment, it can often feel like there's just a wave of red on top of you. Certainly how it feels at the moment for the visitors. Devine in a little scrap with Petratos down the near side, and Costa Petratos a little overzealous in his attempts to try and win the ball high up the pitch there, concedes the free kick. Paulo Mitri's been in and out of the team this year, has not been able to nail down a secure starting position. That will go some way to doing it. Two players who have not been part of St George City's first team at times this season. Both started their games tonight with a bang. Here's Devine. And Kerma, of Sydney FC's youth academy, funnily enough. There's a couple of the Wanderers who started their journeys in football in the St George Association. And Como comes to the club making just his second appearance for them tonight. Comes with some raps. He was an Australian under-17 international. He's been put under some serious pressure by another one of those in Costa Petratos. Represented Australia at youth level. Maro's touch betraying him a little there. Dino's looking to try and find a way through it. He's found Nkermo. Darting and weaving his way past Costa Petratos and forcing Jack Kenny to get down low and palm the ball away from any danger that was coming his way. Jesse Foti is enjoying the cool conditions tonight. Getting back and lending a hand defensively. Erdkan and Dom Cox, very much the spine of this St George City side. Both were playing League One football a couple of years ago. Erdkan was part of a St George FC grand final victory back in 2020. Spent some time with the Sutherland Sharks at this level before making the move across to St George City. Captained them in their promotion campaign. Continuing to do so now. Cox brought in from Hakoah for the promotion campaign, or after the promotion campaign, I should say. Been very, very impressive with them in the heart of midfield over the past two seasons. Cardoso's side looking to stick to their principles. The Wanderers a team consistently and every iteration that look to build out from the back at this NPL level. They've not had problems finding the back of the net, so no question that they're far from out of this one, but their recent form suggests that it's going to be down the other end where there's going to be an issue as they chase this game. Certainly there's the talent to get a goal or two back over the course of the 90 minutes. Expected plenty of goals tonight. St George City have made sure that a couple of them have come early. Devine for Lual. He's got lovely touch. Just had a swarm of red shirts around him. The Wanderers just can't get a moment's peace on the football at the moment. Cameron Fong, who played in a couple of these youth derbies last season for Sydney FC. Sitting on the right side of the back three tonight. Not missing Solomon John Monaghan-Viker in the centre of their defence at the moment. St George City, they haven't had much defending to do. Fumoto Kamada getting forward this time. Who can he pick out? He's looking for Foti, who has been on Vidakovic's toes every time he's had to come out and claim in the opening 18 minutes or so. Wanderers have managed to get a hold on possession since conceding the second from Mitri, but yet to really make inroads down the other end of the pitch. Lawal and Dino linking up. That's nicer. Fernandez was there to lend a hand, but it never ever reached him. Turned over by Nizam. Cox for Kuri. And eventually Nizam was trying to win his side the free kick. A throw will do. Such has been the one-sided nature of the opening. Just shy of 20 minutes that the referees have barely had a thing to do other than have the best seat in the house for what has been a fearsome attacking display from the hosts so far this evening. Wanderers working it up the pitch via throw-ins. Tough and I will line it up to go again. Neuenhoff gives it back to his right fullback. Dotting in is Dino. Skip past one, interchanging passes with Fernandez, who's really had a touch in the early stages of this game. Looking to be the creative influence that he's gained a reputation for being so far. Sydney Olympic junior, made his debut in the NPL New South Wales this season for the Wanderers. It's been close to an ever present for them. Only missed the one game all season so far. Assured touch, characteristically assured touch from Dom Cox. Erdkan trying to spin it forward. It's going to be difficult with the windy conditions tonight. Everything needs to be along the ground and it needs to be precise and well placed. Tafunai for Fernandez. Not Cholina. You're wondering, yes, Roman, son of the former Socceroo Jason. Here he is again. Going all the way back to Vidakovic. This is better from the Wanderers, the best period of the match so far. Both goals coming inside the opening 13 minutes. For St George City, they managed to stem the tide somewhat, but they're going to be very careful of the threat that Jesse Foti offers in behind. Face to face with Cholina. Numbers there supporting him. Costa Petratos has had all sorts of space on the edge of the area so far. Passes are on for Mitri, and now Kuri. Kamada getting forward as well. It wasn't by design, but he got past Tafunai, and it's as easy as you like for Costa Petratos, who makes it 3. And this is turning into a landslide in the early stages. Not even halfway through the opening 45 minutes, and St George City have a 3-goal buffer. That one created by Kamada, finished off by his opposite wing-back Costa Petratos. And the sheer weight of numbers is giving the Wanderers all sorts of headaches. Completely bewildered by the opposition they're facing, and there's just simple mistakes like that being made now. It's going to call for cool heads. Fortunate they didn't concede more against Manly United last weekend, who were rather wasteful in front of goal. St George City have afforded them nothing similar. Every chance in the opening 23 minutes has been taken, and Mitri's got another chance to line up. And the little deflection as Neuenhoff got across made it easier to handle for Vidakovic. You have to say there's nothing really the goalkeeper could have done about any of the 3 goals. First one a turnover which was pounced upon by Foti and finished in a one-on-one situation. Paulo Mitri's strike was as pure as you'll see anywhere, and then Costa Petratos tapping the ball home from about 3 yards. He won't get too many easier than that. Seventh goal of the league season for Costa after getting such an important one a couple of weeks ago at Blacktown City as they came from behind to claim a 2-1 victory. weren't so lucky against Marconi last weekend, but they are putting in a much improved performance. Moto Kamada forward again from left full back, and they're queuing up through the middle. Jesse Foti, any contact, and it may well have been 4. So I mentioned after Mitri's goal, the Wanderers were actually the first visitors to this ground when first grade made their, I was going to say their debut here, but played their first game here back in the 2022 League One season that ended so positively for them. Had to come from behind twice that night. One Geordie Swibble was on the score sheet a couple of times that evening. Mitri got 2 to get them back in the game, and then the Czech midfielder Jakub Praja got the winner about half an hour from time. Wanderers have never won here in their 3 attempts. It's looking as though that record is going to hold unless they can turn the tide. It would be a famous victory if they're to come from 3 goals down and find a way to claim all 3 points tonight, particularly the form they've been in. Not enough problem solvers in the team to give St George City some problems, but at the moment they just can't get their foot on the ball for long enough. Not for a lack of effort, particularly from the players in attacking areas, but getting the greatest quality service, and the pressure that St George City are putting on them, it's been almost too difficult to deal with. Tarek Erkan had to time that challenge to perfection. He did, to nick it off the toe of Dino Dino. Now it's Jason Romero who's running channels now as well. Everybody's getting in on the act. Kamada continued his run forward. He's been so dangerous. Foti's there again, so is Petratos. Couldn't figure it out between them. But the chances continue to pile up for the hosts. Como and Shalina's going to try and have some influence going forward. He's done well enough to win the throw. The cold night has been lit up by some fiery football going forward from St George City. Wanderers have not been able to lay a glove on them to this point. They got the character, the technical ability. There's no question about the players in this Wanderers side that they have that. They got the smarts to dig themselves out of this hole. They got numbers forward here. Little interchange of passes which nearly went right. Khan Nizam cutting in off that right flank where he's started the evening, but not able to find the return for either Dino or Awan Lual. Just keep an eye on the way St George City play up from the back on these goal kicks. Tarek Khan is given the job of playing the ball short when that's the option. Jack Kenny has that thumping right boot. He's not been able to keep that one in play. Wind has died down a little bit since 2 o'clock when it was really blowing a gale, gusts of up to 50 kilometres an hour around Sydney earlier today. Nothing quite that dramatic at the minute. Still kept the temperatures nice and cool this evening. It's still feeling very much like winter football, which it is. Took a while for us to get to that point this season. The first 15 rounds were played in some pretty searing heat at points. Particularly in those Sunday afternoons games. St George City haven't had too much of a problem with that, and their home games kicking off at night. This one actually slightly earlier than usual because of the postponement of the under-20s game. Strong crowd has gathered, and they've been very pleased with what they've seen in the opening, just shy of a half hour. Devine playing out. The Wanderers able to just slow the tempo a little bit. Now they need the ball rolling in their favour. Marcus Fernandez might be able to provide that. In fact, it wasn't him. It was Nizam. Soaking up a more and more central position. It looks as though Richard Cardozo has gone to a three-pronged attack, looking to try and turn the tide. After a start that has really not gone his team's way. Ricky Franzen playing that one over the top, but even Lual with his pace not able to reel it in. And now a rather clumsy challenge on Tariq Erkan, who went down in a heap. And that's a yellow card handed out by Ben Abraham. A little bit of clumsiness, I think, from Awan Lual rather than anything particularly malicious, but looking all the same. Did too much to dissuade the referee from getting the card out of his pocket. Couple of goals this season for Awan Lual. It's his first yellow card. Erkan is taking his time. We got that other game kicking off right now on the Football New South Wales YouTube page. Hills United hosting Northwest Sydney Spirit, the only other game tonight before 4 games tomorrow in round 25 of the NPL New South Wales men's. Wanderers persisting, trying to play out from the back. One of the goals given away through a bit of an error doing that. The other two just through some very strong attacking play from City. Fernandez being turned into a corner. Has to go all the way back to Franson, who summed it up all very nicely. Good ball out to the left, where Devine's able to stride forward. And Como. Nizam. Fernandez had continued his run forward and was dragged down, or no, he dragged down Curry, according to Abraham, who had a very good view. Penshurst Park faithful who have crammed in here have been treated to a fine attacking display in the opening half hour. Mirko Jurel, who's not a man of many words, but doesn't mince them when he's on the touchline. He's not had too much to say to this point. I just did see him raise his arms in exasperation. Wasn't too happy with the option taken by his team there. And Tariq Erkan, after drawing the yellow card from Awan Lual, is given one himself for the rather crude challenge on Nizam. Got to him ahead of the football. So the St George City captain is the first player from the home sides in the referee's notebook tonight. It's his 7th of the year, so getting a little bit too close for comfort to being ruled out of a final series game. He's got to be careful, Tariq. He's not one to shirk a challenge, that's for sure. Marcus Fernandez over this one. Well, he's gone direct. It took a deflection on its way through. It was a half-hearted appeal for a handball. Fairly safely gathered by Jack Kenny. One of the best young goalkeepers in the competition. Still just 21 years of age. Has not missed a game so far this season for St George City. Winning the battle. It was a little bit of a battle for that position last season. How about the timing on the challenge from Tom Cox? Just too strong for Nizam. Foti, and Nizam went in with studs raised. He might have been a little fortunate that he got the ball first there. That was a wild and woolly challenge. Would have just been saved by the fact he pulled out of it at the vital moment as well. Kamada's ball from a deep position. Struck Foti rather than him controlling it. Can't say that for Costa Petrodos, who did beautifully, as did Mitri. Very tight space. St George City retaining possession. They're happy to go all the way back to Fong, who returns the favour. Romero just trying to get it out of his feet. There's enough white bodies back there for the moment. Kamada's the wide option, and that's a dangerous ball again. Shalina did well. Cox firing it back in. It was always headed well wide. Another raid on their goal survived by the Wanderers. See turnarounds of 3 goals every now and then. 4 is a rarity in the half of football. Know that they can't concede another if they're a chance of getting anything from this one. Scoring one before half-time would just give them something to go into the sheds at the break with. I have to say, since the 3rd goal, really, that's the closest they've come, which has been, well, it's been outside the norm of what happened in the opening 25 minutes or so when St George City built this 3-goal advantage, which they still hold. Como's been willing down the left-hand side tonight, but struggled to get past Costa Betratos, who's been offering his services higher up the pitch for St George City tonight as well. Devine. Oh, and Degoroi saw it all the way. Oh, and now another little entanglement between the Wanderers attacking player and one of the St George City defenders. Their last line of defence in Jack Kenny has been left on a heap on the ground by Dino's challenge. Making just his 2nd start of the season tonight, the Wanderers winger. See the pace and the energy. There's been some intricate stuff between he and Lowell. Just missing its final product. Kenny yet to be forced into a really meaningful save. So the free kick awarded. Interesting the approach that St George City take to this game now. Their early dominance has just eased somewhat. Maybe that's them taking their foot off the pedal, but they're still pressing high and winning the ball back almost at will. Mitri's ball wide for Costa Betratos. Takes Devine into an area he's not really wanting to go. Helped out Bartek and Como, but he snuck it between both of them. Mitri looking to fire it across the face again. Shalina there to make a crucial interception. Como having to get all the way back, but he's turned it over. Petratos' ball in, easily dealt with by Vidakovic. This job has been a little bit easier since that 3rd goal went in. It's the 3 that have beaten him, which are the issue for the Wanderers at the minute. Neuenhoff, who's not really been able to establish a foothold in the game, the Manly United junior. Only 2 in there for the Wanderers. He and Fernandez trying to compete with the experienced trio of Cox, Curry and Balometri. Very much the City players who are winning that battle at the moment. Balometri, going to say he's maybe having his best game of the season so far, but then he went and turned it over. And Como. Neuenhoff. All the way back for Vidakovic. Call from Tarek Erkan, which you could hear through the effects mics there, was hold. I haven't done that particularly well because getting off the shoulder was Richie and Como. Ball just didn't fall for him quickly enough to strike it with his foot, so had to go with his head, and that made it more difficult to get the purchase. Jack Kenny saw it all the way. Half chances starting to accrue for the Wanderers, but they need something more meaningful before the break, you feel. Jesse Foti winning in the air. That's not a sentence you say too often. Very good player, Jesse, but fight is not something he's particularly blessed with. Opportunism is, and he manages to squeeze it inside for Romero. Ben Abraham waiting to see if advantage accrued. It didn't. So the man who opened the scoring last night has won inside a free kick. He might have won himself a bit of a bruise in the morning. Gingerly back to his feet and making his way into the penalty area to attack another cross from Costa Petratos. Haven't had too many of these sort of set-piece situations. It's been a free-flowing football match to this point. Nizam is left as the lone man in the wall for Tristan Vidakovic. There's still plenty forward in red for Costa Petratos to aim for. Cox won the initial header. Fernandez straight up in the air. Foti wins another header. Cox, Mitri trying to steer it in there for Erkan. Cameron Fong happy to go all the way back to his goalkeeper. And he prefers the long option. It's because he measures them pretty well. And breeze still blowing across the field towards us in the stand here. Penshurst Park just carried that ball out of play before Petratos could reach it. Just moved here with brother Marky from Jets Academy, where they were both present for a number of years. Marky's now departed for Hills United, where he's joined Dimitri Petratos, returning, the eldest of the Petratos brothers, returning from India. Costas remains here. He's been a favourite of Mirko Jirel over the past couple of seasons since his move. He's been used in a variety of positions as well. Curry swinging this one in, and Vidakovic did well. Read it all the way and claimed over bodies that were flying in front of him. Good calm piece of goalkeeping. The 21-year-old. It's one of those I mentioned a little bit earlier in the broadcast that was a St George City junior here for a little while before his move overseas. He's playing football in the 4th division in Portugal. A number of times the Wanderers goalkeeper. I wonder how many pitches they have like Penshurst Park. It's very unique in footballing sense around the world. It's a gorgeous facility. There's a small pitch. The Wanderers have struggled to deal with the pressure that St George City have built their game around here. Happy to press their opposition. They played it through it this time. Fong timing his challenge. Fernandez had it initially blocked by Mitri. It fell for Dino, and now Nkomo's down the left. Probably the most space he's seen all evening. And getting back to help is Curry. They're just playing with such fabulous energy at the moment, St George City. Lewis Curry's not been at the centre of things, but he's growing into the match as well. That's a gorgeous switch of play for Kamada. He and Romero queuing up for it. Romero's taken it. Jason Romero still dancing through defenders, and eventually the block was drawn. From the Wanderers defence, Ricky Franson getting his body in the way. And Cholino has just managed to steady things at the back in the last 15 minutes or so. But you have to say it's still St George City who are generating the better chances. Comeback is an outside shot at the minute. Passes like that from St George City will help. Curry throwing himself into another challenge. Cox nicking it off the toe of Nieuwenhof. Well, Lewis Curry is looking nearly engaged in this football match. It's almost like he's got his second wind already. Change is not at the forefront of the mind of Mirko Jirel at the moment. Why would they be? Players warming up, which you can see in the background of the shot as it was played out to the left, but not looking to be necessary at the moment, except for resting players' purposes. Kamada has covered every blade of artificial grass down that left-hand side in the opening half of this game. It's it forwards. Foti trying to get the shot away. Mitri struck one with his left earlier, and the one on his right blazes wide of the post. His technique is so brilliant in striking those balls on the half volley, Paolo Mitri. One of the few remaining from that grand final victory back in 2022. Erkan is another. Those two, along with Dom Cox, really leaders of this St George City side. Jason Romero returning to the club after a brief stint here while they were in League One, but further down the table in 2019 and 2020, those COVID-affected seasons. Big signing for them from RB Leichhardt. Ball out for Kamada. Foti was waiting in the middle again. Dealt with initially by Ricky Franson. Cox's strike was blocked. Curry trying to draw someone into a challenge. In the end, it was a hopeful ball into the middle. Didn't really pick out anyone in red. Wanderers still trying to play their way out. Devine. And this time Nizam clever enough to get his body in the way. Can the Wanderers just give themselves a glimmer of hope before the break? Well, not turning the ball over like that. Kamada. Curry and Kamada again. Former teammates who made the move across together from Mount Druitt Town after the relegation from the top flight last season. Been ever presence in Eurole's starting 11 this season. They're linking up again here. Kamada's in behind, not for the first time. Romero in a foot race with Vidakovic for the ball, which the Wanderers goalkeeper narrowly won. Dino has been full of fire, but hasn't really had too much support, as you saw there. The white shirts getting forward, not plentiful enough in number. Everything has been in front of St George City's back line, with the exception of a couple of balls in behind, but they've been dealt with pretty well by De Godoy, who's such a cultured player of the ball out from the back, and Tariq Erkan, who has swept up everything defensively. Kamada into stoppage time, now we are at Penshurst Park. Romero's trying to deepen the Wanderers' wound. Holds it up for Curry. Got a strike away, that's his favoured one, he's left, as is Devine's. Eventually found its way to that left foot. He's able to clear his lines. And Como's clever enough to win his side the pressure relieving throw. It's just come in waves for the Wanderers' defence. Trailed by these 3-0 inside 23 minutes tonight. That's better playing out. And a loose touch from Neuenhoff, of all people. Thankfully for him, Cox wasn't able to get the ball under his spell and keep it in play. Can't imagine there'll be too much more time added on here. Apart from the 3 goals, we've been almost without stoppage, except for a short one for Tariq Erkan to receive treatment. Devine opting to try and take on his defender. It's an action that sums up the first half for the Wanderers, who've not been able to deal with the early pressure that St George City have brought upon them. Jesse Foti opening the scoring inside 5 minutes. That was followed in by Paolo Mitri's strike just before a quarter of an hour mark. And then Costa Betratos won't get too many easier than his tap in from no more than 3 yards. His 7th goal of the season has given St George City a deserved 3-0 advantage. And really, with some more astute finishing, it might have been even more. Wanderers with plenty of questions to answer at the break as the teams heads to the sheds here at Penshurst Park. It's the host St George City 3, Western Sydney Wanderers 0. Welcome back to I was about to say Wanderers Football Park, Penshurst Park, for the second half of this round 25 clash between St George City and the Western Sydney Wanderers, and it's the visitors in a mire. 3 goals down inside 23 minutes and searching for answers. Be interesting to see how long it takes Richard Cardoso to go to his bench. He looks to have resisted that temptation just for now. The second half of that first 45 minutes was much better from the Wanderers, but they've still struggled to deal with the pressure that St George City have put on them when they have managed to get some possession for themselves. Can they turn the tide in this second half? It would be a famous night for them if they're able to even nick a point. But it's St George City who are looking to provide some payback on the Wanderers, who beat them 6-1 down at Wanderers Football Park. The halftime scoreline that night was 5-1. Wanderers will need something similar if they're to get anything out of this one here this evening. No changes for Mirko Jiril. I'm sure there's some temptation for the St George City coach to rest some players given the comfortable nature of that first half performance, but might just look to kill it off. That's what Kamada's looking to do. He's fired so many crosses into the box over the course of this game so far. Ball played wide by Fong. Costa Petratos, who got the third of the goals. Mitri, who got the second. And his cross was blocked. A line of white shirts there to deal with the danger, but it's St George City who've started this second half as they started the first on the front foot. Alex Molchanov along with you for the action on the Football New South Wales YouTube page, as that one's almost rolled in. Not sure that was by design from Costa Petratos. Almost provided a half chance, not to be. So for Coach Cardoso, it's study of character as much as technical ability. The Wanderers have shown a wherewithal to play past the pressure that's been put on them at times. It's just not been consistent enough. Jesse Foti's goal inside the opening 5 minutes came from a turnover, playing out from the back. The Wanderers haven't made the same mistake twice, but they've struggled to really get a foothold going forward in this game whatsoever. Jack Kenny's been nigh on a spectator for large parts of this game. Been a comfortable night at the office for the City goalkeeper. Cox bundled off it by Lawal, who's put himself about in this first half and has managed to win inside the free kick as well. No change in structure either from the Wanderers. It's plan B, a case of doing plan A better. Costa Petratos has it nicked off him by Fernandez. Lawal was looking for Dino. Dino had actually come midfield to try and get himself on the football. Cut a frustrated figure out on the right in the first half. Man making just his second start at NPL level for the Wanderers tonight. Handful of bench appearances alongside that, but no chance in from the start tonight. It's Lewis Kuri bending it over the top for the ever lively Fumoto Kamada. Nice touch from Franson. Marcus Fernandez, who's been the main creative outlet for the Wanderers through the middle of the park, hasn't been able to get the ball in high enough areas. He and Luke Neuendorf have been pegged back by the pressure from City through the middle of the pitch. Be interested to see how City come out in this second half. And don't need to change too much, but whether they press with the same intensity, I think is doubtful. Or a case of looking to play through the Wanderers' better set defence. Luke Neuendorf getting down to the near touchline and managing to fashion a throw as well. George City players didn't agree with the decision. Marcus Fernandez lobbing it through. Lost a little bit too much of his arm coming in off the left. He was pushed forward as soon as that third goal went in. That's really been the only noticeable tactical switch from the visitors so far tonight. Romero Just with a little bit too much power on that one for Kamada, who lets out a cry of frustration. Neuenhoff. Opting to go back for Roman Chelina. Novidakovic, who's put in a good display despite the fact he's conceded 3 goals. One of them particularly down to his goalkeeping. Mitri looking for something inventive. Scored with a volley of that sort on his left foot inside the opening quarter of an hour. Reminder for you, if you're looking for your NPL New South Wales content over the course of the week and the weekend, indeed, got all the match highlights, round previews and reviews on the NPL New South Wales social pages on X, Instagram and Facebook. All you need to search is at NPL NSW. It'll pop up there and you'll be able to find all the highlights of this match and all the matches from the rounds and the women's competition as well. Game in progress in that competition tonight between the Northern Tigers and Gladesville Ravens. It's gone to a break with the Tigers leading by a goal to nil. Local rivalry. Wanderers steadily improving over the course of this game. It has to be said it didn't start from a very high base this evening, but they're showing us more what they're capable of since conceding that 3rd goal. Just shy of the 23-minute mark. City have been moving the ball so sweetly forward there. Every time the Wanderers do establish something going forward, they seem to be pegged back equally as quickly. Dom Cox has been the heartbeat to that midfield. Kamada's been lively down the left and draws the challenge from Nkomo, which results in another attacking set piece for City. If you're picking nits in their performance, it's been this area that's not really been at full throttle tonight. A couple of deliveries that have left a bit to be desired, so Tony Gurkan and his old mate Jason Romero having a discussion about what they plan to do with this one. Kamada's over to lend a word as well. He would be the left-footed option, but it does very much look like it will be Romero. 2 in the wall, neither break with the step over from Kamada, driven low towards Cox. That was nicely dealt with by Franson. Rather mishit in the end by Nkomo. Foti got it all started tonight. In fact, there's Curry ducking his way through. Now Foti, his touch was less than impressive, certainly than the one that opened the scoring. Oh, how about that from Neuenhoff? It was inventive, not particularly effective though. Mitri picks it up. Continuing to come in waves of attacks. St George City. Romero drifting to the left, forcing Nkomo to do some defending. Swinging it over the top. You feel that the wind might have carried that a little bit further than Jason Romero desired. And it goes for a goal kick. So 4 games coming up tomorrow. We've got that Hills United and Spirit FC game in progress at the moment. Nearing half time, it was 0-0. We checked that a couple of minutes ago. Sydney United taking on Apia Leichhardt in the match of the round. 2 teams that are set for finals football. Apia not in the best of form. Travelling out to Adenza Park will not be easy. So they were thumped by Sydney United 58 earlier in the season at their nominal home game, although it was away from their home ground at Sydney Olympic Park. And the Wanderers have managed to fashion themselves a corner. The hard running of Awan Lual not giving up the lost cause. Well, it certainly seemed that way. Proved not to be. Is there a chance to spark the comeback here? Just shy of 10 minutes into this second half. Jack Kenny's come under no real pressure to this point. To be alert here. How's his concentration in the cold? Fernandez to deliver. Probably not his best effort. Didn't really allow anyone in white to attack it. It's rather Chelina trying to retrieve it and keep the attack alive. Erkan, rather agricultural clearance just to poke the ball out of play. He's big runoff area on the near side of Penshurst Park. And Como looking to link up with Dino. Not really been able to work that out, those two on the same side of the pitch to start this second half. And Como's has gone into a right fullback role. Switching places with Ruan Tofuna, who started at right fullback tonight. And Como for Fernandez. Now Franson. And Cholina. Tofuna just knocked off it. That might open the door for a St. George City counter-attack. There aren't too many players ahead of Jason Romero. Just knocks it back. Mitri running with the football. Not something for which he's particularly renowned, and it's just getting himself in a bit of a spin as he looked to try and turn past the defence. Cox has bailed him out. Dribbles the ball out of play. Look as though we're going to get those first substitutions. We wondered how long Richie Cardoso would wait. So we get two of them. Loal shift is over. 10 minutes into the second half. This is that of Khan Nizam. Plenty of effort from both of them, but not quite the quality finishing product. So Lachlan Henderson makes his way onto the field. Only a recent signing with the Wanderers from Blacktown City. In fact, it wasn't Nizam who's been removed because he's chasing that one down. We'll establish that identity for you. Another recent signing has been brought on alongside him, Luka Nesevic, who made a couple of appearances for Marconi's first grade side earlier in the season before making the switch in the registration window. Henderson's first touch was not a particularly good one, and then he's compounded the error by bringing down Fumoto Kamada and getting himself booked for the first time this season. Frustrating moment for the youngster. It was in action at St. George City only a matter of weeks ago at London Stadium, and City's 2-1 win over Blacktown on that Saturday night. Comes a second name wearing white in Ben Abraham's notebook this evening. Juan Loal, who was the first, is now departed. Nesevic trying to inject some energy into this game. Foti's provided plenty all evening, but he couldn't reel that long ball forward in. Covering was Costa Petratos, carrying out some defensive work. His was the third goal of the evening, his sixth of the season in the league. Ball squared across the face by Fumoto Kamada. Set up a couple of goals tonight. Will be credited with 2 assists is another question, because his ball forward for Jesse Foti's goal was initially intercepted, just dwelt on for a little too long. Curry striking from distance, caught plenty of it, just bending away from the left-hand post of Vidakovic. Ball from Franson. Looking for Knezovic. Kenny's got a thumping right boot and taking the opportunity to show it off there. Sent it all the way down into Vidakovic's penalty area. Henderson. And Dom Cox is just too quick to leave passes short like that. He has been instrumental through the middle tonight. And will get the plaudits for goals or assists, but he has cut out everything promising that the Wanderers have tried to do going forward. Gordo looking fairly comfortable in his second St George City appearance. Not for the first time I put a curse on one of the players out there in St George City colours tonight. A characteristic error from their new signing. Foti going to be getting more and more chances in the first team with the departure of Presley Ortiz to Manly United. And his first start for his new club last night, not 1-0 loss to Marconi. Might be glad for that. He's taken the first couple of opportunities he's had with aplomb. No questioning the quality of the 19-year-old. Wearing 19 on his back tonight. An astute pickup from Sutherland. They spotted the talent. St George City keen to make him a member of their squad, and he's burst his way into the starting 11. Now Kamada's forward from left back. Might look to go alone. Well, he might have done. It's a very good challenge from Franson. Had to time it well. Got a little bit of Kamada in the aftermath, but there's an all ball on the block. We approach the hour mark. St George City have their first corner of the second half from this near side. Costa Petrados has made his way over. He was searching for Erkan at the near post. Easily dealt with by Vidakovic. City more than happy with the status quo. Their press is slowly eased throughout the evening. Rapid intensity that they came out of the blocks with has established this 3-goal lead. Wondered if they might kick on with it. Hasn't been the case. Part of that's been down to the Wanderers just gaining their bearings somewhat. Too many players. I mentioned that they've visited this ground 3 times before tonight in the league. Once of those was in a finals match back in 2022, so lost as well. One Nathan Roberts on the score sheet that night. He's on the bench again this evening for City. Commanding challenge from Neuenhoff. There's a C next to his name in the team sheet tonight. Kamada, not for the first time in the last 5 minutes, getting up gingerly to his feet. He's got through a lot of work, the Japanese fullback, this evening. Too strong Dom Cox for Nizam, who turns it over. Can confirm now it was Roshan Tafunai who's been taken off a little bit earlier, replaced by Nezovic. First time we've really seen Jack Kenny under pressure with a football. He did it well enough. Search out for Kamada. He's an animated character, Kenny. Kamada's still just got a bit of a grimace on his face. That challenge from Neuenhoff a couple of minutes ago. Just one to keep an eye on for us. City will be hoping that there's everyone getting through the game fit now. Fairly comfortable with this 3-goal advantage. The Wanderers have not created a meaningful chance in this second half to this point. That could all change here. Chance for Nkomo. It was curling towards goal as well. Had Kenny worried. He was scrambling across his line and rather relieved to see that ball pass by his post. Just as I said, the Wanderers were struggling to create chances. Right, and there you see one of the different challenges of Penshurst Park. Jason Romero, knowing he can't be offside from a goal kick, had taken up a very, very high position, and Jack Kenny could just thump it down the other end. The Wanderers were not ready for it. meant that Franson had to make a desperate lunge back for it. Managed to get his head to the ball, but Vidakovic couldn't keep it in play. That is a challenge that you will get nowhere else around the NPL New South Wales. That sort of long ball out from a goal kick. And so now Romero from the resulting corner. It's a dangerous ball. Vidakovic did well to come and punch. And Fernandez hoiks it clear. Means that there's space for Nizam potentially to get onto this one and get his team going back the other way. There's just no support for the Wanderers, having to commit so many numbers back to deal with the dangers down the other end that when they do get the ball, it's difficult for them to really get at City. And the Godoy went into the challenge with Nazovic, who initially appealed for the throw, but I think he knew what was coming in terms of a whistle. Still yet to score his first grade goal, Luka Nazovic. It's handful of appearances for Marconi as an attacking weapon off the bench. He's yet to find the back of the net in the NPL New South Wales men's. Kenny forward for the waiting Romero. The American can't make the contact he was looking for. Still haven't brought you the remainder of those fixtures tomorrow, so we'll do that as the Wanderers look to play out. Mentioned that big game for Wollongong. Will be overtaken by City tonight if that result holds. They host, oh, the very close rivals. What on earth went on there? The Wanderers very nearly playing into their own trap, not for the first time tonight. Lucky to get away with it. Here's Costa Petratos as the corner is taken short by Romero. Petratos fires it in low. Kuri back to goal. Happy to send it back from whence it came. Kamada in a deeper position. Look to swing it away from the goalkeeper on his left. Franson's been superb, really, since the third goal. The last hour or so has been terrific. And Kuri used an arm to control. That was spotted by the referee. Other games tomorrow, Central Coast Mariners hosting Blacktown City up at Plume Park. That's a 3 o'clock kickoff, and then the late one is that age-old rivalry. I'll get it out eventually. Sydney Olympic taking on Rockdale Illendon, the league leaders. Looking to restore the 9 points buffer. Give themselves an opportunity to secure a premiership next weekend if they are able to win that game. Win and a loss the week after, which is something certainly that could happen with Marconi hosting Sydney United 58 in that big southwestern Sydney derby. Kenny's actually got too much on that, not for the first time tonight. Fires it all the way into Vidakovic's area. Cholina. Increasingly, the Wanderers are starting to search long. I'm not sure that's particularly pleasing. Richie Cardozo. Cox. Erkan. Put under pressure by Nezovic, but he dealt with that fairly easily. Kamada, not sure that was the advisable option to find him again. Godoy was going to have to measure that one to perfection. Lovely touch from Neuenhoff, who has grown into this game somewhat. It's going to be so difficult for him, that pressure that City put on Wanderers in the early stages. So now the changes will come for Mirko Yiril. Result fairly safe now. Just under a quarter of the game left to play. One more change for Wanderers as well. Dino making his second start tonight, making way. And a chance for Edmund Haddad to come on and try and make an impact off the bench. For City, Brody Clarkson making his way onto the pitch. He's been a regular starter for them this year, and unusual role for him, coming off the bench, but we'll just add a level of defensive nous at the heart of their midfield, and you saw it there, getting his boot to the ball first. Nathan Roberts, another who's just been brought on for Jesse Foti. Mentioned that goal he got against the Wanderers in a semi-final here a couple of years ago. Proved to be the winning goal in a 2-1 win that night. And Lewis Curry's been taken off as well. So that's the double change for the St George City side. Looking likely to be a footnote at the moment. Status quo has not really changed for the past 45 minutes or so. Goals all coming inside the first 25 minutes for St George City tonight. Jesse Foti inside the first 5. Doubled by Paolo Mitri on 12 minutes. Stunning strike on his left foot. Just gave Tristan Vidakovic very little chance of keeping it out, and then a third added by Costa Vitratos, who takes the ball on here from no more than 3 yards. Can he double his tally? Firing away. Needed that ball to spin the other direction, just caught it with the outside of his boot, and so it flew away from Vidakovic's net. Still just the 3 for St George City. Should mention, along with those 4 men's matches tomorrow, we've got a full slate of women's fixtures, all 6 matches. We'll be able to find where you found this one on the Football New South Wales YouTube page. Just hit the live tab after you search Football New South Wales on YouTube. De Godoy. To just play it out really like this if they so choose now, St George City. But they're searching for more. Cameron Fong given a chance to get forward really for the first time tonight. He's slid into the now vacated by Costa Vitratos right wing back position. He's known for his attacking presence at Sydney FC's academy side. Signing for St George City. He's won his side a corner here, which Costa Vitratos can swing away from the goalkeeper. Touch from Haddad was effective enough. Can he stretch his legs to get to the return? In fact, it was Fernandez trying to dribble it clear of danger. Can't complete the 1-2. Ben Abraham being watchful about time wasting. It's understandable, but really hasn't been too much of a problem. City have been pushing, not with all their might for a 4th goal, but with enough intent. Jason Romero, I'm sure, would like to add another goal to his tally this season. Cox. And there you go. Kaikamura has made his way onto the pitch as well. So 2 of the goal scorers now making way. Cameron Fong is enjoying this role higher up the pitch. Feeds it for Costa Vitratos, and Roberts makes it 4. Such a nose for goal, Nathan Roberts. And he didn't need a second invitation when that ball was played in by Costa Vitratos, who's been outstanding down the right all evening. And it was really only a matter of time before City got that 4th goal. And they put the cherry on top of what has been a fabulous performance this evening. Applause from the crowd. They've been more than happy with what they've seen tonight. They will jump into the top 6 at the end of the evening. The Wanderers have had no answer. It's going to be 8 games without a win after such a bright start to the season. They have fallen right out of the finals equation. There'll be 7 points out of the finals come the end of the night, should this result hold. Won't be caught in 9th place this weekend, but need to start picking up results as things go on towards the end of the year. to save face. Want to be pulled back in the Wanderers, well, with Sydney FC and the Central Coast Mariners Academy sides, who they've outperformed so sterlingly all year. They did lose the NPL derby to the Sky Blues a couple of weeks ago. Hasn't been the happiest period in terms of results. Clarkson for Kamada. Interchanging passes with Romero. It's brilliant when it's in full flow like this for St George City. They are enjoying their football. Romero. Henderson holding him up. Not able to nick the ball off him though. Tagoroi offering an option deeper. It is his favourite, his left. Clarkson dancing through defenders. Cox. Roberts was sniffing around again. Romero. Still the attack alive. The Wanderers cannot clear their lines. Kamada. Nesevic has had to get all the way back there to lend a hand defensively.
Correction on the last substitution, number 9 and Jesse Fady was replaced by number 28 Noah Evans.
Clarkson for Roberts. Romero spearing it into the back post where Fong was waiting. Played it off for Costa Betratos, who's twisting and turning. Can he find a route to goal? One heavy touch, which just let him down as he tried to spin and fire a shot. Call from Ryan Devine. It's part of that winning side at the start of the year. Leader amongst this one that's found coming by those 3 points a little bit tougher. Oh, and that's an ill-advised back pass, which has found its way over the byline and presented St George City a chance for a fifth now. Jack Kenny still full of voice. It's been about the extent of the contribution he's been able to make outside of his distribution, which has been superb this evening. Romero is everywhere at the moment. Vidarkovic right on his goal line, doing nicely to pull that one in. Even his distribution didn't find anyone in white, although Kamada didn't quite judge that as he would have liked. City needing this result because there's a little bit of a banana skin coming up for them. Wanting to venture into too much cliche. They've got the Central Coast Mariners up at Plume Park next Sunday at 3 p.m. That's turning into a tougher trip, certainly, than it was at the start of the season, as they battle their way, or attempt to battle their way out of the relegation spots. That game tomorrow against Blacktown City. And they run home the last 4. Hills here, and then 3 away games consecutively. Manly United, Sutherland and Sydney United 58. So a couple of those certainly, well, I'm sure they'll see all of them as winnable, but 3 or 4 wins from those 5 games, and I think that they'd be safely into the finals, particularly given the Wolves' topsy-turvy form across the course of the season. It's all still to play out. I'll certainly take plenty of confidence from the performance they've put in tonight. Third win in a row, which is going to put them right back in the finals hunt. Well, sorry, a second win in 3. After that loss to Marconi last weekend. Like to keep a clean sheet as well, but that's under threat. Nizam is searching for the run of Haddad, and now there's an arm that's adjudged to have been used in blocking that cross. It's issue for the substitute. I did hear that over the PA, just wanted to confirm before I brought that across to you. Was Noah Ovens brought on rather than Kai Kamura. And let's see who's judged to have handled retreating towards his own goal, the youngster. And so a chance for the Wanderers to at least give themselves a consolation to take home. And now Ben Abrahams making his way all the way over to the St George City bench. Mirko Uril has managed to get himself booked despite his side leading by 4-0. A little too forceful in his words with the fourth official, Matt Staples, perhaps. Anyway, the Wanderers firing under the wall, and Kenny, it's his first meaningful save of the night that I can remember. Fernandez rather with a clever effort, deciding to go underneath the jumping wall. Kenny's ball is inviting Romero to chase it. He made half a play at it. Henderson always in the front spot and protecting it all the way back to Vidakovic. As for the Wanderers, task doesn't get any easier towards the end of the season. They go away to Landon Stadium next weekend to take on Blacktown City. Then they're away at Lambert Park against Arpialaika. Then just a single home game for them as well in their last 5. Sydney United 58 in 3 weeks' time. And then Sydney Olympic and Marconi away. That is a torrid run home for a team out of form. Bright start to the season, looking as though it's going to contrast rather heavily with what has been a downright dour end to it. That was a touch from Kamada. It's been in stark contrast, really, the performances of the two sides tonight. There's been no lack of effort from the Wanderers, but just lacking the nous at this level that City have showed all evening. Their energy and proactiveness without the football has really stood out. Erkan. This is a nice little save of face for City as well, after they were embarrassed by the Wanderers really earlier in the season. That 6-1 defeat at Wanderers Football Park would have burned. Been able to bounce back in the fullest manner tonight. Erkan. Clarkson's looks classy since coming on, and Roberts is off the shoulder again. If he can win the race to the ball, Chalena did just enough. Romero and Nathan Roberts converging upon the football. It's down to the young centre half to get in the way. Yet another St George City corner in this second half. Romero once again entrusted with it towards Dom Cox, who was closest in red. Fong finding it easy enough to find Jack Kenny. Gets it back off him, and Romero's stayed out on the right-hand side after taking the corner. The switch of play is inch perfect. Roberts is looking for support. Kamada, and beaten away by Vidakovic. Still the danger not clear though, and the rebound is beaten away again. Well, I said it's been a good goalkeeping performance tonight from Tristan Vidakovic, despite the scoreline, and that double save almost just underlines the point. Two good reaction saves, both from Kamada, who's still yet to get his first league goal this season. He's created plenty. Not able to add his name to the score sheet on what's been a terrific night for City. Romero switched flanks. Deep ball, Vidakovic knocked him in the head for a moment there. It took him a couple of goes to claim it. Eventually he did. He launches early. And now Haddad started his run from his own half, so he's well on side, but never going to win the race to that ball. Kenny almost being a little bit silly there. Sure, that was a completely necessary risk to take. Either way, he's got the ball safely in his grasp now. That's been just like that for City. There's not been too many consequences for their mistakes tonight. Not that there's been too many of them. Francis put in a really good shift over the course of the last hour or so. The heart of the Wanderers' defence. He's had a lot of defending to do. Nesevic. Can they get their consolation here, the Wanderers? Henderson. Back for Haddad. Henderson again, and Haddad just having to stretch a little too far for that one. It's been the case with a lot of their attacks tonight, just players not quite striking the same chord. A couple more late changes coming. Opportunity for some more minutes. Good shift tonight from Richard and Kermo, who makes his way from the field of play. And Lachlan Tilt is going into the back line. Shift Franson into midfield alongside Nieuwenhof for the last 5 minutes or so of this one. Lena jumping without too much chance of winning the ball there. Tilt with his first touch that's coming on. Kamada still looking to get in behind defenders, and he's done exactly that. Can he make it 5? He certainly can. Kostovatratos' second is almost a carbon copy of his first, and it's a 5-star performance from St George City tonight. The fourth with the cherry, that's the sprinkles. Once again, not able to deal with the threat of Fumoto Kamada, who has put in a man-of-the-match performance down the left-hand side tonight, really. Both in attack and defence, and perhaps a fitting end to his evening as he makes his way from the field of play. Outstanding again, one of the best defenders in the competition, certainly in terms of the attacking thrust he offers St George City. And so he makes his way from the field. So does Jason Romero. No goal tonight for the American, but plenty of good work. And Kai Kamikura coming to this near side. Plenty of similarities between those two, the way they go about their football. Lockie Henderson's won inside the free kick. One more. Good to see Mitchie Germer out there as well for St George City, making just his second appearance. The youngster, who made his debut a couple of weeks ago, late stage against Sydney FC. Cholina. Same margin that the Wanderers beat St George City by in that game earlier in the year. Quite a turnaround over the course of a few months. Certainly not the firepower in the Wanderers side or the experience at as high a level of the game. They have been well and truly played off the park tonight. Penshurst has proved too much of a difficult task. Erkan and Dogoroi improving their understanding in their second game together. Certainly it's given them plenty of opportunity to work on building from the back in an attacking sense. Kostovatratos has had a field day down the right, really. Ball forward from Fong, who's joining in the fun. Roberts on the score sheet off the bench. Erkan again. Clarkson has continued the job that Tom Cox started in the centre of midfield this evening. Kamikura hasn't got a senior goal yet. He's looking to play provider rather than scorer himself there, much like Kamada has this evening. Tilt for the Wanderers. Henderson. Just a matter of playing out the clock now, really. Vudakovic, who's been one of their best in a beaten team. Cholina. Tired pass forward. Legs have got through a lot of defensive work tonight. Good square ball. Costa Petratos, can he make it a hat-trick? Good block initially. Roberts, similarly stinging drive. Certainly would have stung the backside of Neuenhoff, who got his body in the way. Might present a chance for the Wanderers to get one back. Nesevic returns the favour for Marcus Fernandez. Just beaten in the foot race, and in fact had started his run from an offside position in any case. Good bit of retreating defending. Not really sure what Costa Petratos is getting into a war of words. He doesn't want to pick up a cheap booking for no reason from referee Ben Abraham. He's managed to avoid that. I wonder if he was arguing that there was a hand used to block his strike. Anything for a hat-trick. He hasn't got one this season, Costa. The goal tonight not as important as his last one against Blacktown City a few weeks ago, but well, his 2 goals tonight, I should say. Backheeled over the top, Erkan closing down the danger again. And Kenny's happy to just clear his lines, as he has been really since the 3-goal lead was built. Cholina winning in the air, Henderson on the ground. And De Godoy sensing the danger being offered by Franson. Haddad. City happy for the Wanderers to just play it around the back to see out the rest of this short time remaining. A couple of whistles ringing out from the crowd. Without any urgency, more good humour, I think. Devine. And Neuenhoff has really battled well in there today. It's almost been a lone hand at times. Deserves an assist or something statistically for his work. Nesevic might give him that. Fashion the opportunity. He's whiskers away from a first NPL New South Wales goal, Luka Nesevic, but not to be for him tonight, not to be for the Wanderers, who were 3 down before they could blink. Goals from Jesse Foti, Paolo Mitris was a beauty, and then Costa Petratos, who added his 2nd after the break. Either side of the 4th from the substitute, Nathan Roberts, on a dominant night for St George City, who returned the favour on the Wanderers, who beat them by a scoreline of 6-1 earlier in the year. That seems a while ago. The Wanderers slumped to an 8th straight game without a win and are quickly fading out of the finals picture. As for St George City, they sit in the top 6 tonight. That could change by the end of the weekend, but another positive performance for them ahead of their trip up to the Central Coast next weekend. Been a pleasure to bring you this one on the Football New South Wales YouTube page tonight. It's Alex Molchanoff signing off from Penshurst Park, where it has finished St George City 5, Western Sydney Wanderers 0.